Hello, and welcome to another episode, a special episode of Break the Cycle. With me, your host, Joshua Smith. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon.
Afternoon at this point.
Ryan is not having a wonderful
I'm having
Sunday
a terrible
afternoon.
one.
He's having a rough Sunday afternoon. Why, buddy? What happened?
I had a couple of drinks last night, and my body just hates me.
Your body's not... Well, someone here at the Minnesota State Convention decided that you should have some honey mead.
Yeah.
And it's not done a body well. We have a live audience today,
Yeah.
so that's cool. What's up? Yay! I actually didn't have to play the claps that we play at the beginning. We could have just had everybody clap,
Oh,
and we
true.
wouldn't have had to play the claps for once.
Would the mics have picked it up?
Probably not, actually. now
Yeah,
that I think
so-
about that. But we do have a live audience here at the Libertarian Party of Minnesota State Convention, where in just about an hour I'll be doing a presidential debate. And we did a presidential debate yesterday morning in Kansas City, of all the places, and then drove the 9 hours here. And it's Ryan's fault that he feels this way, because we had my 3-year-old with me, and we decided that we were going to drop him off in West Des Moines on the way here. And had he been here, Ryan would not be puking this morning.
Nope.
No, you'd be doing much better.
Yeah, I would.
It's unfortunate, dude.
I'd probably be having a good day.
Yeah, you probably would, I bet. Guys, go check out toplobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you get this great Break the Cycle shirt that you see our good friend Ryan wearing today by using BTC at checkout for a 10% discount. Or you can join the Patreon, subscribe, start, become a member of the YouTube channel under all of our videos by hitting the join link, where you can get into a private Discord server, mostly moderated by Ryan, and get all of Top Lobster's new gear up to 2 weeks early at 30% discount. So good stuff. Support all the creators in our liberty sphere, conservative sphere. I don't even know what we are anymore. What are we?
I'm libertarian. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some things you hold true that may not be libertarian.
Yeah, but I don't give a fuck.
I once had Jeff Deist on the show, and he told me, I said, Jeff, people are saying that you're not a libertarian, because you hold this view or this view or this view. How do you feel about that? He said, who gives a fuck? He said, who cares what people call me? Just a label. Does it really affect you that much? I was like, dude, that was like probably one of the biggest eye-opening moments I've ever had on my own show, because I was just like, oh yeah, dude, it really doesn't matter. Meanwhile, the left is winning the war on language anyways, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're actually out there changing the definition of words to fit their narrative and biases. So, like me, when I talk about dissonance.
Fuck you with the dissonance.
Hey, dude, just living a life of dissonance, Why do you hate that so much, dude? Because I don't use it the correct way. You just don't understand good dissonant music, dude. That's all.
I do understand it. That's the issue.
You act like you went to school for music or something.
Yeah. It's almost as if I did.
You kind of did. If anybody's watching, thanks for being here, guys. We appreciate you. We are doing a special episode from the Libertarian Party in Minnesota State Convention, where I'll be doing a presidential debate here soon. We got a live audience, and we appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. I think that actually picked up on the mic, so that's pretty cool. I did turn the noise gate off last episode because we kept having all those issues with it. I'm holding my mic today, so if we're having problems on the show, let us know in the chat. And we got some people that want to hang out and come on the show, and one of the first ones are our good friend Jason Cleets, who has lost how much weight, Jason, have you lost?
212 pounds. I went from 538 at my worst down to 326.
Feel free to move the mic stand around until you get it where you want it, buddy. We got to make sure you're on camera too. Yeah, this man had started at 500 and what now?
538 pounds was my beginning weight. That was the worst I had gotten to back in 2011. And fast forward to
you gotta put it close to your mouth.
Yeah, sure thing.
These mics are directional, and we have enough audio issues on the show to bring.
All right, how's that?
You can't bring somebody else on the show with audio issues, my man.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So
there we are.
So what was your weight?
So I started at 538 pounds. That was the heaviest I had gotten to. That was back in 2011. Between 2011 and 2019, I had dropped about 50 pounds or so. Fast forward to convention 2022, I had lost some weight, started putting weight back on, saw a picture of me and Dave Smith standing next to each other. You know how skinny Dave is. I looked like Grimace. And I'm like, bro, we got to fix this.
Sure. And I get it fully, because I've taken pictures with Dave Smith, and I always look like a huge fat fuck next to Dave Smith too.
I think anybody looks like a fat fuck next to Dave.
I'm like 230, okay?
Right.
And standing next to my retarded much less handsome younger brother, Dave Smith. He looks like a beanpole next to me. It's unfair, dude. So I have that picture actually from the Minnesota State Convention in Minneapolis of me and Dave. And I think about posting all the time because he used to be, my really good friend, and now he doesn't talk to me because he's supporting Michael Rechtenwald or whatever. So if Dave, I know you watch all my shows, dude, and then like hate jerk off, but I just want to say I still love you, buddy. You're still my good friend. So you started Accountability Nation. This was like a kind of little movement you started to help other people be inspired to lose weight as well. How's that going?
So far, things have been pretty good. I'm growing organically. I do have a Twitter account, so you can follow my journey if you'd like. Accountability Nation is my project. It's my journey through weight loss. It's my journey through learning who I am as a libertarian. It's my journey just in general, going from the perennial loser to learning how to win in life.
Nice. And so like, what was it that was it just that picture that made you go, hey man, I gotta do something about this? Or was there other like things that led up to that too? Were you having health issues? I mean, what was going on?
There were some issues, like obviously a story that I do tell from time to time. In 2011, I had a blood clot that blocked the flow of blood to my brain. I had a stroke and I was clinically dead for 7 minutes.
Holy shit.
That was a wake-up call.
Yeah, sure.
It took me a while to realize that I had a second chance at life, and as the doctor said, I should buy a lottery ticket because that was my chances of surviving what I survived. So I figured best thing to do, since I have bonus time in life, is use it for the greater good, share my story, share my brand and my self-accountability. And who knows, maybe I'll be able to affect some culture. I do know that of my 12,000 followers, I have had several thousand reach out to me and say, thank you, you've inspired me, to which I say it's an honor to be able to inspire others to do things for themselves in their own life. I mean, that's the most libertarian thing that we can do.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Somebody who, I have this big emphasis on family, right? Like when I talk about, especially when I debate, I'm constantly talking about how the federal government is subsidizing the separation of families at the state level. We went from 1 in 60 children living in a fatherless home in 1970s to 1 in 4 children living in a fatherless home today. I mean, it's absolutely by design. And so we've adopted 2 kids, and I feel like, the more we can live our principles and try to, do the things that we say need to happen in society, the further we're going to go as an ideology. There's just no doubt about that. So I applaud the stuff that you're doing, man. You're doing great stuff. And where can people watch you, support you, listen to you, all those good things? So
if you want to follow me, I do have a YouTube channel, Accountability Nation, that I am resurrecting. I put that project away for a little while. If you want to reach out to me on Twitter, I do go by the @earbuds_music, or type in Accountability Nation. My profile will come up. I don't believe anybody else uses Accountability Nation. It seems like we live in a nation full of people that don't want to be accountable any longer for their actions. I'm the inverse of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I talk a lot about especially the left, and we just had this we had Rudyard Lynch on last week from What If Alt History, and he brought up a really good point that the left especially, their entire political ideology is built around non-accountability. I mean, that's really what it's all about. Is like they don't want to take accountability for anything. It's all about what other people can do, and so, man, I love that you're living your principles. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
For sure. Guys, go follow Accountability Nation. He's doing great stuff and helping to inspire a movement of people to be healthier. We appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
So, yeah. You want to hop on, dude? Yeah, you. Come on up. Yeah, you, man. Come on. Let's go, buddy. We had a little talk last night, so I figured it'd be cool. It'd be cool to have you on. Yeah, that thing actually swivels like this and like this, and you could put it to the side of you, and then swivel it up. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I should have a guy helping you over there, but we'll be all right. Oh, there you go. Pull it down. Just pull the whole thing down, and then put it right there. You go, man. All right. Ahmed, man, we had a moment last night.
We did,
and I had been drinking. Okay, so I was a little emotional, anyways. But you had mentioned that you're Iraqi.
Yes.
From Iraq, born in Iraq.
Yes, I was born in Iraq. My mother was from Karbala, and my father is from Najaf. So I got the best cities in my bloodline.
Yeah, there you go. I listen. So my emotional response was because I took part in Operation Iraqi Freedom. which I think was the dumbest name of all time. I don't know how you feel about that. And I was a big part of the Shock and Awe campaign. My battle group that I was attached to was the Shock and Awe campaign. We were the USS Constellation, like 2003. Oh, sure. Watch us live when you could just watch us live, okay? And I, it's really, it's part of who I am today. It made me so jaded on the military industrial complex in the United States because we dropped 100 million tons of ordnance on Baghdad. I mean, that's really what the Shock and Awe campaign was. And most of it came from my battle group that I worked in fuels. I mean, I wasn't some, special ops guy. I didn't work in ordnance, but I knew that I had a hand in that. And I've really kind of felt shitty. I mean, I feel really shitty about it for many, many years. But it helped shape my anti-war sentiment. It helped shape my activism. It helped me get onto Ron Paul's campaign in 2008 because he was the only anti-war, and still to this day probably the only anti-war presidential candidate truly that we've had in the two old parties in my lifetime.
Agreed completely.
Yeah, and so what were your thoughts on our? I mean, we're still bombing Iraq today. I mean, and people don't know this. A lot of it's not talked about widely on the news, but we started bombing Iraq in the 1980s, really, and we're still doing it today in 2024. I mean, what's your thoughts on the Iraq War and the situation over there? And how
I came to this country in 1994. Part of the agreement that a lot of the Shiites had with the American coalitions was, if you fight for us and try to topple Saddam Hussein, we will help you basically take the country back. So the Shia militias back in the early 90s, late 80s were able to conquer about 13 of the 17 major cities of Iraq. We just needed the American Air Force to come in and basically help take Baghdad. Unfortunately, towards that end, George H.W. Bush said, you know what? No, we're going to pull back. So after that, Saddam started what we would call the Intifada, which is basically a civil war. Right. So you had the military who was attacking the Kurds in the north, and then you had the military who was also attacking the Shiites in the south. That caused a war, and part of that is because the Shiites fought against Saddam Hussein, a lot of us got political refugee status. So we stayed in camp in Rafah, Saudi Arabia. And I know a lot of people don't like the Saudis, but I love the Saudis. God bless them, because thanks to them, my family's alive, and they do help kind of counter the extremism that Iran tries to push on the region as well. It's always a balancing act, and being from Iraq, we always had to balance both sides. You had to balance the Riyadis, who also have a basic cast of Wahhabism, and then you had to basically fight against the Iranians, who not only just wanted to take over Iraq, but forcibly convert even the Christians, and that's not proper in Iraqi culture or even in Islamic culture. Eventually, after September 11th, I never really thought about it too much, but the only times I ever really hated who I was after September 11th, because other people made me hate who I was. And it's kind of funny because most of those people didn't even know where Iraq was. They just thought, hey, a bunch of people who happen to be Muslim, not even Arab, happen to be Muslim, bombed the World Trade Center towers, but we have to blame all the Muslims for it. Then, of course, as you guys know, after Afghanistan, took a few months just to take over Afghanistan, but for some reason it was occupied for the next 30 years. Iraq was the next target, because that seems like it's always been a goal for the military-industrial complex, is to get to the pipeline in Iraq.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And we always hear this "no more wars for oil" thing, but there's a legit truth to this, right? Yes. And people need to understand that there's legit. And this is what really fucked me up in Iraqi freedom, right? Was I joined right after 9/11, literally months after 9/11, and it was to go fight who I thought were evil terrorists to protect my family that had attacked my countrymen. And we were told they were this and that and this and that from here and there and there. We find out later that we might have not have got all the information, right? And of course, it was the longest military conflict in our nation's history in Afghanistan. Lasted 21 years, and they knew hands down that it was an unwinnable war. The terrain was too bad. There was no way we were ever going to win a war in Afghanistan. But they still sent our sons and daughters to die there and killed many other sons and daughters in Afghanistan. But I joined because of this Afghanistan fight, right? And within a year, I'm at war in Iraq, going, "The fuck are we doing in Iraq?" You know, at 19, I at least understood enough to go, Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11 at all.
Exactly.
Zero to do with it. That whole region really had nothing to do with 9/11 at all. And here I am at a war with these people we were at war with when I was 7 years old, and I was sitting on my coffee table watching the war live on television, right? I got an anti-war ad coming out about this soon, so I've been talking a lot about it. But man, it seems like, I don't know why the United States has this like hard on for military action in the whole Middle East, and why we constantly destabilize and topple regimes and then install our own regimes, and then we go fight them afterwards. And it's just like, it's constant like musical chairs almost in the Middle East for American foreign policy. It's disgusting. We, Libya and Iraq and Iran and Palestine and Afghanistan. I mean, the
Syria.
list goes on and on and on and on and on, and it doesn't end. And so like, I don't know, man. What are your thoughts as far as like, so you talked a little bit about the geopolitics of the area for the countries and the people that live there. But I mean, what were your thoughts on like the American foreign policy in the Middle East? I mean, have you come to a conclusion that like maybe that's a little corrupt and they should change it? I mean, you are at a libertarian convention, so I imagine you probably have some sentiments about that.
Well, one thing I've realized just being directly involved with this sort of military campaigns in my past is it's not meant to win a war, it's meant to basically keep it maintained. There always has to be an open field, and in the Middle East there always will be a war to go after, because for two reasons. One, they could always say, hey, it's a cultural or religious war. Two, the Middle Easterners technically and generally produce more children, so the governments in the West can test their new military systems and just do what the Israelis do to the Palestinians, which is basically mowing the lawn. So they'll wait every couple of years and then they'll start a new war just to be able to sell new weapon systems. That's one reason. Another reason is when they went into Afghanistan, they had all that heroin that the Taliban banned at their disposal now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I knew that. I mean, the poppy fields in Afghanistan are a huge natural resource for Big Pharma. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
And like, they definitely want to control over that stuff. And, I feel like that we spent at least 15 years of that war just protecting poppy fields. I mean, that's really what it was at the end of the day. And the sad part is as soon as we took off, the Taliban took right back over. I mean, it was like 21 years and we walked out like nothing ever happened. It was absolutely insane to me. But, I talk a lot about Israel. Okay. I am not a fan of their foreign policy, and I think that they dictate a lot of this stuff for the Americans as well. Yes. Obviously, AIPAC has far too much control over our government. I think something like last time I checked, like 75% or more of the American federal politicians are sponsored and financed by AIPAC. Okay, when we have a foreign allegiance that is absolutely dictating your military action through your government, you're going to have some issues. And it goes so much deeper than that, right? And so, we have this big conflict now with Hamas and the IDF, right? And we have like a nation in the United States right now that has totally equated Hamas with all Palestinians, okay? Which couldn't be further from the truth. And for people that don't understand, there's like different parties in Israel too that have different sets of opinions on this stuff. Yes. But the Likud party is the one that's in power now and has been in power for a lot of Israel's time. I mean, these are the real hardcore military action Zionists, okay, who are the people that I actually have a problem with, really have a problem with. And they propped up Hamas. They literally paid and financed Hamas so that they could get support on the national stage to attack Palestine. To attack Palestine and continue to, annex land and get more land. And it's always been part of their plan, but it affects the entire Arab world and it affects the entire Middle East, right? And like people think that, it's just Palestine and Israel, but it's like now we're looking at maybe going to war with Iran, okay? And I try to explain to people, people are like, Iran, whatever. And I feel the same way about Iraq. A lot of people are like, it's just the desert. No one cares. It's like, no, dude, Baghdad's like a big city where people get up every day and have dreams and goals and aspirations. They put on work boots, and Tehran's the same way, and so many other places in Iran as well, right? Tehran and Shiraz and like these are big cities, and people don't understand that. But what people don't understand is that like a war with Iran for the Americans means probably a war with Russia at some point, which is hilarious because Russia and Iran used to be at war. Right.
Yes.
It means a war with China, probably, because China's definitely going to back. We're talking about massive world war with all the superpowers like this country has never seen before. Do you have so I know that Iran and Iraq do not have the best relations. I get that. But do you have any views on America going to war with Iran? Do you think that it would be as bad as I think it's going to be?
If America goes to war with Iran, it's going to be like the Iraq War times 10, because Iran is not like Iraq, where more than 60% of the military did not like Saddam. These people are actually very patriotic, they're extremely nationalistic, and they've been battle hardened ever since Hillary Clinton and Obama dropped ISIS into the borders of Syria and Iraq to try to basically start these wars. Another thing, with all the technology that the Americans have shot over the Middle East, Iran has basically been able to seize most of it and reverse engineer it. Their drones are being shown on the battlefields of Europe and Ukraine, and they are devastating the Ukrainians, including all the Patriot systems or the HIMARS missile defense systems. They are just being knocked out and turned into butter on the field. Iran is very capable, and they have everything next to them. If they want to start a war with America, see, people have to look up the old Millennium Challenge. I think when they did it back in the early 2000s, they did the Millennium Challenge, and they said within 15 minutes, Iran would have at least 5 aircraft destroyers of American size destroyed. And they're talking about, if there was a full field, 500,000 U.S. soldiers would be dead within a day.
Yeah, I mean, it's could really get ugly, and a lot of people don't understand. Iran used to have like one of the best air forces in the middle. Maybe still has the best air force in the Middle East, but we did take. I mean, a lot of it got taken out during their skirmishes with Russia too.
Yes.
So, but it could just be so scary, and I don't understand how anybody in America can look at our political foreign policy that they've put on for the last 100 years, right, and go, yeah, we need these people to dictate us into more wars. And something else that I talk about on the show a lot, but people don't understand, is in the 1950s, Iran had their first democratically elected government.
Yes.
Mohammad Mossadegh was the first democratically elected prime minister. They were on their way to being a very westernized world, really. I mean, if you look at these pictures of the 1950s in Iran, they had, the men were wearing like zoot suits and top hats, and the women had like beautiful evening dresses. There were Chevy Bel Airs everywhere. Yeah. They had neon signs. People went out dancing. I mean, it was on the way. And Mohammad Mossadegh decided, we're going to nationalize our oil. You're no longer going to get our oil on a pennies on the dollar price. And Britain's MI6 and the CIA from America hopped right on it, went over there, and basically organized and carried out a coup of the first democratically elected prime minister of Iran, and then reinstalled the Shah. I mean, that's really what happened, and went back to a theological tyranny, right? I mean, is that how you understand it?
That's pretty much exactly how it happened. The CIA basically sponsored a coup. They were going to call it off at the last minute, but it was already in process. And the thing is, when Ayatollah came in, I can't remember if it was Khomeini or the other one. When they came in, you have to think, Iran during its collapse was basically like an open air prison. So once the prison opened, the gang that had the best guns and the most people took control, and that was what the Islamic Republic came.
Just absolutely wild, man.
And it's kind of insane, because if you think about it, Iran is Shiite, which is also like Iraq, but
right.
It's completely different on how Iraqis are compared to the Persians.
Yeah, that whole area used to be Persia, right? I mean,
Yes.
Iraq was Persian as well at one time.
Half of it was, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny because so I lived in Portland, Oregon for 7 years, and I was putting myself through college, and I worked at in fine dining. I was a restaurant manager, bartender, all these things, and I actually worked at a restaurant called Shiraz. It was a super high-end Persian food restaurant. All my roommates were Persian. I had Persian food every single day. I went out to Persian clubs. I hung out with like Iranians all the time. And the Persians in America were like, yeah, dude, we're not like that. We're just like here to have fun. But they're like, you can't go to Iran though without you have to have a sponsor if you wanted to go to Iran, and you have to be like watched 24 hours a day to make sure. I'm like, just to go visit. And they're like, yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's really rough there, man. I don't know. Is Iraq like that too? Would
not in Iraq, thankfully.
Not the same, right?
Yeah, we got a lot more freedoms in Iraq. But in fact, some of my family members have actually started retiring to Iraq. They've sold their houses and their semi-trucks and businesses and have actually gone there because there's a new pension scheme, I guess is to call it. So the people who survived and had to stay in Rafah, the government's basically decided to compensate them for their pain and suffering. So a lot of people here, Iraqis, have said, you know what, we're just going to go back to Iraq, where we have actually decent freedom, and we don't pay that much taxes compared to the U.S.
Right. Yeah, I could imagine what a culture shock to come from another country that doesn't have taxes like us, and then be like, "What do you mean we have to pay 55% of everything we make into taxes through all of these different taxes that they don't even talk about? You got to pay a tax on your car, and a tax on gas, and a tax on goods, and a tax on your house, and it's just like tax after tax after tax." And people are like, "Oh no, America's one of the most free countries in the world." It's like, not if you wanted financial freedom, dude. It's insane. It's absolutely crazy.
And imagine if you don't pay your house taxes on the house that you own for a year or two. What's going to happen to your
They're going
house?
to take your home that you don't own. You never own in the United States of America. You don't own anything. You got to pay tax on everything forever. I mean, that's really how it works, dude. Ryan, wake up. I love you, buddy. I feel bad for you.
I'm fading.
Yeah, you're having a rough one, dude. You're gonna make it
Yeah.
through the debate.
No, I'm gonna take a nap.
You can take a nap while you
Yep.
debate.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
It's not like you drove 9 hours with your best friend to watch him debate or anything.
No, I drove 9 hours to do this, and
Then we
and
got-
and I'm falling asleep during the middle of it.
That's you were
Yeah.
over here falling asleep. He's giving like the best story we've had on the
yeah,
podcast.
you guys are having a great conversation. I am just not equipped to be a part of it right now.
Yeah. Well, Ahmad, I appreciate you being here, man. You're amazing. And is there a place where people can follow you and support you, do any of those things?
I actually try to avoid using social media since I figure I'm being spied on through anything anyway.
It's true. It's very true, man. It doesn't get any better. So are you? So
We'll just leak his address, and you can check out on him there.
There is another place you can check us out is the LPMN podcast.
Sure.
We usually do that every week on Wednesday in 6 or 7 p.m. depending on the type of day. We usually put it out on our Facebook and our Twitter. So if you guys, depending on the topic and if it's really spicy, you can join me there.
we like spicy topics on Break the Cycle. We're a big fan. Hey, you go ahead, buddy. What?
We're going to be live streaming on our YouTube channel, the LPMN
Debate?
YouTube channel, the debate.
Okay.
So
Oh.
if anybody wants to tune in and watch, please tune in to the LPMN. Look us up. We do have an event set for it. So
Okay.
feel free
Yeah,
to come check out the debate.
For you guys that didn't hear that on the show, I don't know if the mics picked it up, but there will be the Libertarian Party of Minnesota YouTube channel.
Correct.
If you look them up, they will be live streaming the presidential debate. So if you want to see me debate these other guys, I don't remember their names, but if you want to see me debate them, you can come check it out. It'll be a lot of fun. I think some of them showed up.
Oh yeah.
But-
See, I figure the moment Rechtenwald talks, I'll just be out like a light.
Yeah, he's very good at putting people to sleep for sure.
Yeah.
There's nice
Hey.
directors.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. We
Pleasure's
appreciate you,
all
man.
mine.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr.
absolutely.
Swift.
Yeah, of course, man. And let me know if you ever want to come on the show, like legit, when we do like a full. We do long form, so it's like an hour and a half. But if you want to come on and talk more about this, I'd be glad to have you on.
I would love to.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Who's next? Who wants to come over here and give their story to Break the Cycle podcast? Come on, man. Hot dog pants. I know you want to be over here, dude. Let's go. Let's go, dude. This guy had the best hot dog pants I've ever seen in my life last night, dude. It was so
How
cool.
many pairs of hot dog pants have you seen in your life?
Not many, dude. Not many. But I feel like it would have made Tom Woods very happy. And if for you guys that watch the show, and I want you to understand this is the truth, okay? For the people that watch the show, there's probably 200 bonus episodes if you're a member of the channel. I've done a shit ton of after hours with guests, lots of different guests. But my favorite one ever was with Tom Woods because we spent 20 minutes debating whether a hot dog was a sandwich or not.
Oh my god, yes.
With Tom Woods of all people.
I do remember that one. That
It's
one
also
was
the
funny.
it's also the only time I've ever heard Tom Woods say the F word. He was so passionate about a hot dog being a sandwich that he actually this sweetest, the hardest, like Catholic of a man said, "Fuck, of course it's a sandwich." And it will forever be burned in my memory hearing this sweetheart of a man say that it's a sandwich. What's up, man? Say who you are, where you from, all those good things, dude.
I'm Mitch Zorn. I'm from Twin Cities area. I don't know. I guess what do you want to talk about? What do you want to know?
Well, first of all, I want to make sure that your mic's working. You got to get a little closer.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do in Minnesota, man? What kind of fun things do you enjoy?
I love to fish. I spend a lot of my time out muskie fishing.
My best friend who lives here, Brent. You guys know Brent Lindenfelser.
Yep.
He's one of my very, very good friends. He's come to the house, stayed the night. You know, he's a good friend of mine. And that man, it seems like every other week he's sending me pictures of him ice fishing,
Yeah.
constant ice fishing. And I'm like, I live in Iowa, so like we probably should be able to ice fish, but I've never heard of anybody ice fishing
You
in
guys
Iowa.
really don't
they
ever
do.
get quite enough
No.
ice down there. I know like Spirit Lake and Okoboji almost stay open all year round. which is kind of cool. So with Minnesota, our muskie season's only 6 months long. It's from June to December 1st, and that's it.
Sure.
We can't fish them through the ice. We can't do anything like that. But other states around us are open year round. So like, if water's open, like in the spring, we'll sneak down to Iowa for a couple days, try to catch some fish. Or
Yeah, but all we have is trout. I've noticed that. That's like it. That's all we got.
yeah, I mean maybe down in Des Moines in the rivers, but I don't know.
It sucks. What you? Is there more than trout?
Yeah, you can catch some bass and catfish.
Oh, do we got catfish in Iowa?
You also have those white bass striper hybrids that can
was
get
like-
pretty big down in the Des Moines River.
I think I was like pretty famous for
Look,
its catfish.
we've now offended Ryan Awake. Talks of fish in Iowa. He's like, excuse me.
They're in Dubuque, Iowa. There is the Mississippi River
Yeah, but
Museum.
let's be honest. That's Illinois, dude.
It's basically Illinois.
Dubuque is Illinois, dude.
Dubuque-
it looks nothing like the rest of Iowa.
Dubuque is the Illinois people who got sick of paying Illinois taxes but still want to stay in Illinois.
Exactly.
Shout
It's
out
the
to my
people that-
family in Dubuque, Illinois.
Yeah, it's the people that want to
Illinois.
It's the people that don't want to be felons for carrying a gun, but still want to be part of Illinois. That's
Yep,
really all Dubuque is.
exactly. Yep.
And it shows. I mean, if you're in Dubuque, you're like, okay, this is a much more violent city than the rest of Iowa. It definitely got Illinois vibes, dude. You know what I mean? Iowa's like in the
I've spent
top.
a lot of time in Dubuque.
Iowa is like in the top 5 safest country or states in the country, dude. You know
Yeah.
that, right? And like, but Dubuque is in the top like 10 like most dangerous small towns or something like that. It's crazy. So
I think that had to do with a lot of like the gentrification out of like Chicago, and they all kind of just started moving eastward. They like hit Aurora, and then Aurora went to
Just
complete
kept
shit,
going.
and then now they're like going over to the Quad Cities and into Dubuque.
I
and-
routinely say on the show that Illinois and Minnesota need to stop embarrassing the rest of the Midwest. You guys are killing us. And you look, I actually like Minnesota much better than I like Illinois. So,
No,
but
that's no question.
the gun laws and the taxes,
No, it's
and
bad.
I mean, you know, my nephew-in-law plays. He's tight end on Notre Dame in Indiana. His family's very rich, and they got like a private jet and shit. But we drive to South Bend to see the spring game because it's the only game we can really afford with 7 children, right? And we're driving through Illinois, and I'm a felon the whole time I'm driving through Illinois because I refuse to not carry a gun. I just refuse. That's it.
I actually have a funny story about that. The first week I got my concealed carry license, I was driving from back to work from Minnesota to Michigan, driving around through Chicago, around the south side of the lake, and I was like all nervous
Yeah.
from like because it was like the first time I'd actually carried on the road, and like I shit you not, I got out in South Beloit. Got out at the truck stop, unloaded it, put it into a case because I was like all nervous, and I was
Scared,
like,
yep.
and then I got to Gary, Indiana, and I had to pull back over and
Yeah, and you're in Gary. You need
and now I'm in Gary, and I'm like, I need this right now.
gotta
Like,
have it, dude.
And after that, I was like, fuck it.
Yeah,
we're not doing it.
My butt is absolutely clinched all the way through from Iowa to Indiana. It's just clinched. But I refuse. Like look, I don't care what anybody says. And we just had a huge monumental win in Illinois. A lot of people on the right don't understand the win that we had. They're like, oh, the immigrant got caught with a gun and didn't go to jail. And I'm like, no, the immigrant got caught with a legal gun. Okay, bought legally. It wasn't purchased illegally. And he was illegally, quote unquote, concealing the gun in Illinois, which is against the law. You have to have
Yep.
and they won on the basis of precedent set that the Constitution allows us to carry firearms concealed.
Yeah, that's a huge win.
And
That's
and
absolutely a huge
the,
win.
The left is so smart that they painted this as a loss for the right, right? Oh well, because it was an immigrant. It was an
Yeah.
immigrant. He wasn't a legal citizen. And I'm like, you don't understand the precedent they just set affects you as well, and not just in Illinois.
But in a good way.
In a
and
good
they
way.
don't get it.
Yes, it blows my mind that I don't even care that he's an illegal immigrant. What I
Yeah.
care about is the fact that we just had a monumental win for gun rights, and you
Yes.
guys are pissed off about it. Shut the fuck up, Like, stop doing this stuff to yourself.
Yeah,
man.
they
You're killing
definitely.
us.
It's definitely a miss in the forest for the trees on those ones. It's
Just-
like,
Oh, dude.
and they bite off whatever the left gives them. They're like, well, they say it's a loss for us. We're like, we gotta fight against it because it's bad. And it's like,
Well, the left does it too.
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
no, I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying.
You remember the sign? You guys
Yes.
remember this sign being
Yes.
the absolute white nationalist, white pride sign, and really it was like a Reddit joke,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
4chan.
4chan, yeah. They're like, let's put this out.
Or,
And see what
or the
happens.
Pepe the Frog.
The
like,
Pepe, right?
All that.
Like I
Sam
don't.
Hyde being every single
Sam
shooter.
Hyde. Yeah, like the left falls for this shit too, and they use it. You know.
Yeah.
When the right does their psyops, it's kind of more for comedy reasons. When the left does their psyops, it's to destroy language, to make the right pissed off about things they should be happy about. It's such a fucking terrible paradigm in the United States when it comes to the left and right. I mean, and I don't mean just the left and right. I mean, when I talk about the left and right, I typically am talking about Republicans and Democrats, right? Like these moderate, like progressive Democrats and these war hawk neocon Republicans. Really, the right, to me, I'm part of the dissident right? Like I'm not a Republican. I could never be a Republican again because of the way they treated Ron Paul in 2008. I mean, that's what kicked me out of the Republican Party. I didn't leave them; they left me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's why I found the Libertarian Party in 2010. That's why I'm running for president now, because I believe that this is the party for the dissident right? Like I think this is the party where the people that are anti-warfare, anti-Federal Reserve, pro small smarter government or whatever, even to get rid of the government, right? Like I feel like there's no other party that supports those principles. Certainly not the Republican
I mean,
Party.
you don't have any of them that are even preaching or like coming anything close to minarchy, which is typically where the Libertarian Party stands.
Right.
Yes, there are anarchists with us.
And they're cool. It's a good North Star to have.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can start going towards anarchy, then we're going the right direction.
Yes,
You know what I mean? But I have a buddy named Mike Rufo who's from New Jersey. He moved to Florida recently.
Okay.
But he I've been to New Jersey like 2 or 3 times over the last couple months for the campaign. And you don't really see it when you don't live there. But he said there is no Republican Party in New Jersey. There's the Democrats and there's the far left. And the Republican Party are just Democrats. They're like moderate, progressive Democrats. Is this how Minnesota works as well? Is it really?
It's pretty bad. I mean, do we have anybody that you could even consider a champion of any sort of liberty? All the Republicans that run. That's the one, Walter Hudson. We have one.
Hudson. Oh,
that's decent. Anybody else?
My wife is in the chat, by the way, and she said that Mateo should have babysat Ryan as opposed to Ryan babysitting Mateo, by the way. Julia's watching
She's
you.
wise.
Yeah. I've been texting her all morning saying Ryan is not going to make it today. He's going to fall out. But she knows now.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's out there for YouTube now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And we do have TJ Hawthorne running, and
Yeah.
we also have Rebecca Whiting running for U.S. Senate.
Yeah, hopefully,
so.
I'm hoping to have them on the show
Yes.
at some point today. Definitely, TJ. TJ's been a big supporter of my campaign, and I love that guy to death. He's actually one of the few monthly donators that we have, so we appreciate that because that's really what keeps the presidential campaigns going. Are people who are donate $5 a month. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it ends up working out to more than the $20 or $40 or $50 donations. So we really appreciate that, man. Well, hey, we appreciate you, Mitch. Thanks for coming
absolutely.
on,
Thanks
dude.
for having me on.
Yeah, you weren't too nervous. You did pretty good.
Not too
You
bad.
sound like you got a lot to talk about, dude.
I just started a new company. If you guys, anybody in the chat is in the Twin Cities or Minnesota area and likes to fish, I started a marine electrical business. You can check me out on Facebook. It's Angling Electronics.
Nice, dude. Hell yeah. And you got a personal Twitter anywhere else? Anybody can follow
Personal
you?
Twitter is at mzorn33.
Okay.
I basically just tell politicians to go fuck themselves all the time.
Yeah, so do we. That's what
Yeah.
Twitter's so good.
Yes.
Is that I
That's
can
all I have
actually
it
get
for.
on there and tell the president of the United States to eat my ass, dude.
Yeah,
It's the
no,
one
it's
place I
fantastic.
can do
and
that.
they can't block us.
Yeah, they can't block you.
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
great.
one place
So,
you can do that.
Bully politicians on
Yes,
Twitter.
and
basically.
journalists.
And journalists.
Yes, both. Absolutely.
However much you hate journalists, it's not enough.
It's not enough, dude. And I am a journalist. I mean, really, at the end of the day, right? Alternative journal. I'm an alternative journal, right? You doing okay, Ryan? You gonna make it?
No.
You're really gonna die, dude.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's 1:25, so I'm thinking we're gonna have to kill the podcast for now.
Okay.
We'll leave it set up, and we can come back and do maybe 20 or 30 or 40 minutes before we leave.
Yeah.
Is that good for you? We'll do a
Probably.
part 2.
Part 2, maybe I'll have a nap and
Maybe
be-
Ryan will have a nap and be a
functioning.
little more functioning. Because
Yes.
were you just in the big room?
No, I just went to the bathroom.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, that's not where the debate is, so we don't know if it's going on in there, but it's supposed. Okay, well, we better get going. It's 1:25 now. We will start a new podcast. This is exclusive on YouTube and Twitter right now. So I think the debate is till 3. I think it's an hour and a half or something like that. So 3-ish, we'll come back and start up a part 2 of this, and we'll bring some more people on. So thank you guys so much. We'll catch you later. Don't forget to break the cycle. Oh, I had to do the outro.
to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just landed in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just landed in Minecraft. Well, Chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just landed in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse. In Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Nothing I mean, you know it. No product finished, cause it closed for COVID.